Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of Justin and the Food Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Justin Bizzarro, and today I have with me my lovely and beautiful co-host, significant other, and business partner, Deborah Michas.
Hello.
And today we'll be interviewing Rhett Roberts of Uncle Rhett's company, and he does sauces and dry rubs for barbecue. Rhett, would you please introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Rhett Roberts from Ocilla, Georgia. Started Uncle Rhett's a few years ago, and I've been voted the best cook in the world by 6 nieces and 2 nephews.
That's quite the acclaim. I love that. So Rhett, why don't you give us a little background? How did you begin your company?
Well, I would say I was probably more of a weekend warrior, just having cookouts like normal people do in the South, mainly for football tailgates and, summertime cookouts. And over time, I started messing around with some barbecue sauce recipes that are in the South and making my own version of them. I got to the point where when I'd make some, I'd make a little bit extra and take it over to my mom's house, who was down the road about 4 miles. And that way they would get to enjoy it with the nieces and the nephews, the grandchildren. So after a while, I was just making it, whenever I felt like it. But the demand from the house started to pick up a little bit, and I had to start making it more than I was used to making. And around the Christmas of 2015, one of the grandchildren, my niece Emily, she was over at my mom's house, and she was just wondering what to get her for Christmas. And she asked her the question, what do you want for Christmas? And she didn't ask for the newest phone or the shiny, brand new toy. Her only reply was she wanted some of Uncle Rhett's barbecue sauce.
It's huge flattery.
Yeah, it was. And so I didn't know anything about this, but when we got around to opening Christmas gifts, that Christmas, I noticed a trend in everything that I was opening up. The first thing that I got, it was like a polo shirt with a flying pig embroidered on it, and I was like, well, this doesn't seem like anything that's me, And then I got an apron and some oven gloves, and all of a sudden I started opening up cases of jars that had labels on them, and they all said, everything was marked with Uncle Rhett's Give a Damn sauce. And I really didn't know what to think. So I didn't know. I think I kind of upset my mom. I took the jars home and I put them over in the corner, and they sat there for a few weeks. And I said, if she felt enough about making those jars and making those labels, that I should, at least fill them up and see what happens. So I went to the store and got all the ingredients and made another batch, and took them back over to her house, and then she was so excited. We started brainstorming on where we would sell it and how much we would sell it for. And all that led to, did some figuring. It's like we'd be better off buying bottles and filling them up, and it'd be the same price as a mason jar, and it would look better. And we made the labels a little bit fancier and put a picture on there. And so after we got a little bit little bit better vamped up product, we decided that we needed to get it out there and see what people said about it. So my mother's a clown, and she was headed to the World Clown Convention, and believe it or not, they do have those.
Wait, she's literally a clown. I thought you meant that figuratively,
she's literally
not
a clown,
literally.
and she's going to this clown convention, and here I am, you know, and yes, I'm worried that I'm starting a business in the food industry, which I have no knowledge about, and I'm going to get advice from clowns on what they think about this product. So, you know, everybody tries it down there, and I get word from everybody when she called back that she was just going and letting people taste it, but before she would let them taste the product, she would say, you know, she would just hold up the bottle in front of them and say, "What do you think?" just to get their immediate response. And I think she was absolutely crushed when she ran into one of her good friends, and his immediate response was, first of all, Gone with the Wind's an old movie. And he wasn't sure that the public would make the correlation between Uncle Rhett's and Give a Damn. And then he said, secondly, that you've got damn in the word in the name, so you've run off a bunch of Christians who could buy, and you've also eliminated yourself from being able to print the name on a T-shirt where somebody could wear it to school.
I'm loving that you did so much market research, and it's literally coming from a clown's perspective. This is kind of hard to. It's a great story.
I know. I bet he wasn't clowning around either.
Yeah, he wasn't clowning around. But the thing he did say is, you know, you don't need to make this a gimmick. You need to sell it for what it is, good barbecue sauce. So we went back to the drawing board and started brainstorming immediately and looking for names that we could call it. And, you know, everything, it's a little bit more difficult than you think of, because you think of something and it's like, oh, that's great, and then you Google it and somebody's already got a product that has that name. So we finally found something that we felt that we could run with, and it was Uncle Rhett's backslapping barbecue sauce. And we went with that because we felt like it had a dual meaning of, you know, slapping barbecue sauce on some baby back ribs, as well as, you know, having a backslapping good time, which is the most fun part of food is the cooking and the fellowship and having a good time.
I love it.
And so how old were you when you got this Christmas present where everyone decided you were going to cook for them?
So that was 2015, so I was probably about 36 years old.
That's great. So are you doing this full time, or is this something that's still, you have to have your day job to manage it all?
Yeah, I would consider myself a weekend warrior. I do have a job, but I'm doing this on the side. And my goal right now is to build a brand that I can eventually do something with. And once I hit retirement, have, you know, either a restaurant or build truck stops. And I'm working on building the brand right now.
And tell us how you came up with your other sauces and your rubs.
Excuse me. The other sauces, a lot of them came from, you know, people wanting other things. The first one that I kind of came up with, the second sauce was Uncle Rhett's Jackpot 777 wing sauce. Back in college, when I was finishing up college at Valdosta State, there was a place called the Deli Bar, and every Thursday night we would meet up with our friends because they had really cheap chicken wings, and they tasted different than anybody else's. And we would actually, even back then, that was 20 years ago, we were trying to replicate or make a sauce that tasted like their wings. And I think that back then we were overthinking it a little bit. And once I'd finally, gone through the process of, getting the co-packer and having them bottle the sauce and help along, and I knew how to get something that I wanted, packaged and be a product, I said, I need to go back to the drawing board and come up with that wing sauce. And I think I got pretty close to it on the second try, and we vamped it up a little bit, but it's just very good wing sauce. All you have to do is fry wings and pour the ball on the wings and shake them up, and they're delicious.
I believe you entered that sauce into the Flavor of Georgia, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Flavor of Georgia in 2017. That and the backslapping barbecue sauce was a finalist.
Oh, excellent. How did you feel that contest went? I know I interrupted you in the middle of your other products, so we'll get back to those. But how did you feel about the contest and how you did, and would you do it again?
Yes, I would do it again. I was going to enter this year. I think I missed the deadline with a new sauce that I'm coming out, so I may enter that in next year. But it was an awesome experience. I feel like I made some mistakes because I had had to go in and do the barbecue sauce and turn around and do the wing sauce closely after it. And when I took the chicken wings in there for the judging, I made the mistake because they said, I was worried about getting the barbecue sauce presentation in there. And the wing sauce, they said, do you want the wings to sit in the sauce, or do you want to wait until you come out? And I made the decision I just said, just leave them out. We'll fry them real quick. And it made the sauce not exactly stick to the wing like we wanted to. But it was an awesome experience meeting all the other entrepreneurs and tasting all the good food.
Excellent. I think it's a great contest. So what other products do you have other than the wing sauce and the backslap and rib sauce? Or barbecue sauce, excuse me.
Well, we have another version that could be a barbecue sauce. It's more of a sweet mustard sauce called our Tailgate Honey Mustard. And I came up with it because when I'm looking in the grocery stores, I just can't find the honey mustard that is basically honey mustard. They seem to be too creamy and not what I expect in a honey mustard. It's awesome for dipping fried chicken fingers in, but I've also heard that people use it as a salad dressing, and really like using it like that. It just depends. Some people like sweet over the barbecue sauce.
So overall, is it a sweet or is it a little bit spicy sweet? Because sometimes brown mustards, or is it a brown mustard or a yellow mustard that's the base?
It's a yellow mustard that's the base. It's really a sweet mustard sauce, and the backslapping barbecue is more towards a sweet, spicy, a little heat. There's a little bit of a hint of ketchup that brings it back a little bit.
And then go ahead.
One of the favorites that I've seen is the Uncle Rhett steak and fry seasoning. People don't know what they're getting when they get their first bottle of it, because the name might throw them off, and they think that they can just use it on steaks and fries. But I would just always use the same 7 or 8 spices when I was cooking, and I was like, it would be so much easier if I just combined those and see what that's like. And it is absolutely amazing on French fries, but you can use this stuff on anything. There's nothing better than getting some field peas or butter beans and seasoning your vegetables with it. Some people use it like in the place of table salt, or using a little bit of it on some fried eggs. But people are in love with this stuff, and I use it on pretty much everything when I cook.
I love having a go-to all-around seasoning. I definitely am a sauce person, and just recently I started using some seasoning on sweet potatoes, so I bet yours would be amazing. I'm going to have to pick some up next time I'm out in Georgia, or maybe I can jump online.
Oh, yeah, you can jump online at UncleRhetts.com, and there's several places around Ocilla, Georgia, where you can buy these products.
So people, it's just as easy as going to Uncle Rhett. Is that RHETT.com to find your products?
Yes. It's Uncle Rhetts, RHETTS.com.
Oh, with an S. Perfect. Actually, I was checking out your website before we got on today, and I was reading from your blog and seeing your easy as flippin' burgers recipe for making ribs, and I'm definitely going to give it a try. I've never had great success with having my ribs come out tender, but I'm going to try your method and see how it works out.
Yeah, the 3-2-1 method of cooking ribs is really an easy way to do it. A lot of people are using Traegers these days and pellet grills that makes smoking stuff not as hard as it used to be, because you can pretty much tell it, I want it to be this temperature, and so the first 3 hours you're trying to get the smoke flavor that you want into the meat without overcooking it, and then you wrap it up in tinfoil with some liquid for the next 2 to tenderize it. And by that time it's done, but you take the sauce of your choice. For some reason I'm talking about backslapping barbecue sauce, and you put it on the ribs, and if you've got a nice charcoal grill, you just want to bring up the heat and get a char so you have all kind of depths of flavor.
So, Rhett, as you're trying to expand your product lines and trying to get into different retail stores, what's your method? I mean, a lot of this podcast is trying to give advice to other entrepreneurs to share knowledge. So what advice do you have for people in terms of getting their products out to the public? Well,
you have to get your samples out there, and you can't be afraid to knock on doors and go inside. Having a way to get it into somebody where they can taste it is key. And I've seen one of the best things you can do if you're having trouble getting in a store is most of these meat markets and everything have employees. So you don't necessarily have to go to the top and try to, fight your way in if you can, give samples to the employees that are working those stores, because they're normally the people that are on the floor. If you get them tasting and liking your product, it goes a lot further than you think.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach. And a lot easier than getting in with the managers and whatnot. And also, in the long run, if you do end up with their product in the store, those are the people on the floor selling it. So that's great for them to have tasted your product as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, so do you do a lot of testing and sampling, and how often are you on the road doing that? Is this something you actually do every weekend?
No, I don't sample that much. I try my best to, whenever there are cookouts around town and everything, or whenever I'm traveling, I try to keep sauce with me and find stores on the way and drop it by. But the first time is not always the selling point. You have to continue to go back around to these places and check, because the right person might not have been there to check it, or you dropped something off and they forgot that it was even there. So it's a combination of persistence and being able to take the word no, because for every no you hear, you're that much closer to hearing a yes.
I like that attitude. It's a good theory.
So what lessons have you learned so far? What have been some of the hardships with trying to get your brand out there and in the stores?
Some of the hardships is I guess it goes back to, you really can't tell a book by its cover. Some of the stores that you just want to be in, and think, oh, if I can get in there, then the product will move a lot faster. That's not always the case. Some stores, you think they're not going to move it a whole lot, and they'll be calling and asking for orders quicker and bigger than anyone else. So it's just staying on top of it, and I'm not sure where I'm going with this one.
So do you also try and get out to farmers markets, or you just focus primarily on the internet and also on retail stores?
In the beginning, I did a little of the farmers market stuff. I really pushing for online sales, but being that it's more of a weekend thing for me, I've been focusing on really getting it out locally and keeping everything clear. Concise, where it's not far to drive it to. It's not going to take up my entire weekend if somebody calls and puts an order in. However, I am getting to the point where I'm ready to start growing and reaching out. Another seasoning that I've come up with is the backyard heat, and I had a buddy that's a coworker, and he goes fishing all the time, and he said, I'm looking for a good seasoning to cook my fish with, and I was like, well, if you give me some fish, then I might can start coming up with something that you would like to cook with. So he would bring me some of his fresh catch, and I already had an idea of where I wanted to go with it, and we kept playing around with it, and after a few times he was like, that's it. So we came up with the backyard heat seasoning that's really for blackening fish, and some people like it on steaks. And where I had been focusing on barbecue, now I'm trying to focus on products for fish and seafood. And my newest sauce that I'm coming out with is Uncle Rhett's Beach Bum Cocktail Sauce.
That sounds delicious. So you mentioned a co-packer previously, but it sounds like you have a variety of products that are out there. So do you have a co-packer make all of your different products, or are you having to make some of them yourself considering they're new products and you don't have the volume yet?
I'm using the co-packer for all of my products right now. I'm looking at, trying to get the volume up to a point where I could then bring it in-house and make all of my products at some point.
Oh, so as a long-term goal, you're actually wanting to bring all of the production back in-house versus a co-packer?
Well, one of two methods: either get the volume up where I could order at larger quantities, or bring it in-house if I would do something like a restaurant or a truck stop that focuses on my products. My goal is to get the volume up so I can bring my price point down to get it cheaper for the customer.
That's definitely always a trick, and people always go between making it themselves because they can do it sometimes for less money, but then they can't be out selling. So it's always kind of the which comes first, the chicken or the egg in that scenario. And so it's always a hard decision. You mentioned and you told us your story about how you started your company and what gave you the idea to actually bring it as a company. But did anyone in your family start out as an entrepreneur that kind of gave you the roadmap as to what to do or what not to do, or have you just been all trial and error and figuring it out as you went?
Well, it wasn't necessarily the food business, but I think that my mom played a huge part in wanting this me to go this. I feel like she planted the seed for this business, and it's my job to keep it going by watering that seed and keep it moving along. I remember that when we had changed the labels and we were getting away from the going with the wind theme, and we were moving over to Uncle Rhett's, and she was like, okay, she was devastated. She was like, what are we going to do with this? That we're not supposed to, use Gone with the Wind because we're cutting people out. What do you want Uncle Rhett's to be? And I was like, I want Uncle Rhett's to be me. I don't want it to be anything else. I don't want to have to fake anything. So I said, I want Uncle Rhett's to wear a visor. I want him to wear fishing shirts and shorts and flip flops. I was like, I don't want it to be a gimmick. And so she brought a friend over, and we were like, well, what do we do? You want to hold a pig or something? Trying to think of what we can have on this logo, and nothing just seemed right, and we were, it's getting irritated a little bit, and the lady said, well, just go over there. And I got underneath the cook shed. She said, look at your mom and smile. And she took a picture, and then she took a few more. But that was the image that ended up being the likeness that's on all the bottles. And I remember taking, when I was getting the tailgate honey mustard sauce, and I took it over to my mom's house, and I was like, look at this, look at, what we have going here. And she was so excited, and, pinned it on the refrigerator like it was a report card from school. And she was like, she told me, she was like, you're building a nationwide brand, you don't even realize it. And so that's why I feel like she's the one that put the entrepreneur in me, and I feel like it's my responsibility to water the seed, keep it going, and see what happens.
Yeah, there's another person from the South that puts his likeness on everything, and that was Colonel Sanders. And look what happened to his company, Kentucky Fried Chicken's everywhere. So I like it. I actually like your logo a lot. I think it's good because then people recognize you and you're on the bottle, and it becomes your likeness and the person representing it.
Is your mom still involved? Is she still, I mean, I know you bring ideas back to her and stuff, but does she help you with stuff on a regular basis?
She has passed away, and this was one of the last things that we were working on. But I can tell you that she is definitely involved in this.
I'm sorry to hear about your mom. The salsa. So did she help you then taste brands and get it out for people to test, market? We mentioned that how she helped you with the first sauce, but I assume as your mom, she was probably one of your biggest advocates.
Yeah, she was, and on the wing sauce, when we were coming up with that, I'd make some samples and take it over there, and she said, one of the steps, she said, jalapeno needs jalapeno, and I was thinking the same thing, so I was like, I didn't know whether to put it in there or not, and so she definitely was one of the big ones, and was really pumped up about being able to go out and get it in stores, and so it's her that I'm trying to keep this going for.
That's great. That's a beautiful story. You mentioned the jalapeno. Heat is always an interesting thing, and using a fresh ingredient like a jalapeno, how do you keep your heat consistent?
How to keep the heat consistent?
Right. So, because sometimes, I know I'll go and buy a jalapeno, and one jalapeno tastes like a green pepper, and the other one is blow your socks off.
Yeah, with the backyard heat, and I noticed when going to the stores where they were getting the products to put all the dry ingredients together, I noticed that they made like a green jalapeno powder, and that's what we use in the backyard heat. That's a little bit different, and yeah, it'll knock your socks off. And you have to be careful with it, but the hard thing about heat is some of the stuff that isn't even hot will seem hot to someone else, and they're on fire. So it's everybody's palate's different. So as far as the heat, with as long as the ratio is the same, then it is what it is. But it's pretty consistent.
So if I were to guess, a lot of what you do and how you promote your business and the success you've had is focus on your product and the flavor and the taste and let the product do the work for you?
Well, that's my goal is to build a brand where when you see my face that it's going to taste good, number one, and and I also advocate, having fun while you're cooking. So, I just want my brand to be associated with good tasting food.
And so with that, have you had any hardships or things you wish you would have done differently? And if so, what are some of the things that you wish you could have gone back and told yourself when you started the company?
I think when I was developing some of these products, it had been better to, slow down and try a different thing, but not try to rush getting it out, and make sure the product is consistent and exactly what you want, because once you go through all the trouble of getting process approval, you can't go back and say, okay, I just want to tweak this a little bit. Well, you should have done this. No, I mean, you have to go through the entire process again to get it fixed if you do make a mistake.
Did it take you a while to get... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
A lot of times, sometimes, you want to slow down and make sure you have everything right. I feel like you need to focus on one thing at a time, so you may even want to slow down and just do one product.
You've mentioned wanting to expand and go into a truck stop or having your own restaurant. How are you going about those goals? Is it you want to grow your product line first and make sure it has revenue, and your product line will then generate capital to do that, or is it something you're also saving up for?
Basically, I was just, start. You have to, get the products here, and then you push to get them on the shelf, but once they get on the shelf, at the beginning there's a little bit of waiting game, because you don't know, how fast they're going to move, and you got to keep everything in stock. But my goal is to increase the product line and continue to build the brand, where wherever direction it takes, if I ever bring the business home, whether it be becoming a co-packer myself, or starting a restaurant with the brand, or doing the truck stop, that Uncle Rhett's will already be established as a brand.
And so in terms of building your brand, are you adding more categories and different products because you have all these ideas? Or is it because you go into the retail area and they're saying it'd be a lot easier to put you on our shelf if we had 5 products? Which is the part that's pushing it? Is it all of your ideas, or is it a demand?
I would say it's demand. We're all in the South. We're always we don't have a lot of restaurants that you can drive to, so there's a lot of times where you just have a bunch of couples get together and cook out. And the cocktail sauce, which I wanted to come out with, but I've been holding it back. But when we kept eating, seafood and fish, there were several people that's like, dude, you've got to put that one in a bottle. And so where I was focused on, meat markets and barbecue, and I was like, well, this is a way where I can expand my territory and start moving to the coastline, with the backyard heat and the cocktail sauce. Then I can head to Savannah or St. Augustine or, Destin, and try to hit these fish markets, but along the way, stop by and reach out to these meat markets that I haven't stopped by and push the barbecue sauces.
So you're literally going door to door and pushing this with anyone who will take it and doing sampling as you do it. So you just point in a direction, say Savannah or St. Augustine, which is northern Florida near Jacksonville, on the east coast of Florida, just so the audience knows. And so you just basically you pick a direction and then stop along the way.
Yeah, that's my current plan. I visit these places, frequently, and why not? One of my biggest purchasers now is I didn't even feel like pushing it. I was going on vacation, but I was like, I'm gonna stop and drop these bottles off and just leave. And when I came back from my vacation, I stopped by. I said, you know what, this time I'm not even going to say anything. I'm not going to say I'm the, Uncle Rhett. I'm just going to see what they say. So the guy said, hey, you're the one that brought that sauce. And I dropped 2 different sauces on, and I was like, which one? And he was like, the barbecue sauce. So I was like, he was like, yeah, we need some of that. And so he put in a huge order, and I was like, well, what about the wing sauce? He was like, well, we didn't carry anything for that. And I was like, oh, okay. So, some people love some sauce and some people love the other, and it just depends on who it is and where it is. But there's people that like, all of them. But you can't make somebody like your product.
That's true. Everyone's tastes are a little bit different. But when you find something that's appealing to everyone, it's a good thing and a good start for sure. And from there, are you planning and expanding into other parts of the United States? And with that also, how do you do all your distribution to your clients?
Well, the volume hasn't reached that where I have that problem yet. I would definitely. I'm trying to get the volume up where I can order it by the pallet. Right now, I'm going up to the co-packer and picking it up and doing all the shipping myself. But there are distributors around that I could reach out to that could help if I get to the point where I need to push them. But right now I'm able to sustain it with myself. But I'm looking forward to having that problem if it comes up.
It's a good problem to have. One of the things lots of entrepreneurs talk about is, as a difficulty, is the capital. And so what's been your approach? Are you doing this yourself? Do you have investors? How are you making it all come together?
Right now I'm doing it all myself. And the sales that come back in, that leads to the development of other products, and I guess that gives me an advantage because I do have another job which I can't devote my whole time completely to the line and building the brand, but I do have another source of income where if it doesn't sell immediately, I still got time. But everything that I'm making off of it, I'm using for development of more products.
So do you sit at your job sometimes and you can't get Uncle Rhett's off your mind?
I don't think I have that problem. I'm pretty good at multitasking, and there's nothing, that would come up. When I'm focused on Uncle Rhett, I'm focused on Uncle Rhett's. But it's not going to, take over my life.
So at some point, seeing as though your niece was really the one who said she wanted it as a Christmas present, do you think somewhere down the road maybe these kids will be part of your company?
Well, that's what it's all about is building something that somebody can sustain down the road. I definitely want them to be a part of it, and that's what Uncle Rhett's is all about, because we definitely want to give back. And I know my face is on the bottle, but it's not all about me. This Uncle Rhett's about family and friends and having a good time.
Well, thank you very much for doing the interview today. I can't tell you how much we appreciate it and your time and taking the time to come and talk to us. And we'll definitely be interested in hearing how you grow in the next year or two and get you back on the show. But first off, I just wanted to thank you because we're extremely grateful to everyone that's come forward and tried to make this show and our dreams come true as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And so with that being said, I want to make sure that as we get off, you quick tell the audience again how they can find your product and what your social media tags are so they can find you there and like you and follow your journey. And obviously we want them to see your logo. So what's your contact information? How can they see your products?
My products are available online at unclerets.com. That's RHETTS. You can also find them at Ocilla, at the Ocilla Meat Market, Luke Propane shops at 4th and Cherry in Ocilla. If you're on I-75 on exit 82, there's Carol Sausage, and on I-75 exit 134, there's a Stripling's where you can get our products.
And they can find all of those on the website too, correct? The stores that you're in?
Yeah. I need to update the list, but they're all on the website. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Most of the tags are Uncle Rhett, all one word.
And I'll make sure I put it in the episode notes for everyone so they can find your website and your social media as well.
Yeah, and if they need to email it, they can hit me directly at Rhett at unclerets.com.
Again, just that was Rhett at unclerets.com. Is that correct?
Correct. RHETT at RHETTS.com.
Perfect. Thank you again, and thank you everyone for listening to episode 13. Again, this is Justin and the Food Entrepreneurs. My name is Justin Bizzarro. You can reach me at justin.bizzarro@gmail.com. That's BIZZARRO @gmail.com if you're interested in being on the show. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Justin and the Food Entrepreneurs, all one word.